البرايا بدا وجهه كفجر الصباح إذا يرسم وتلك الليالي في ثغره عقود الجمال غدا تنظم وتلك الليالي في عقود الجمال غدا تنظم عقود الجمال غدا تنظم يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله وأنفاسه روضة من عبير هي الطيب فاحا هي البلسم وأنفاسه روضة من عبير هي الطيب فاحا هي البلسم يهيم الخلائق في بعضهم وفيك أهيم ولا أسأم يهيم الخلائق في بعضهم وفيك أهيم ولا أسأم وفيك أهيم ولا أسأم
Ya Habibullah, Ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Sunday Lounge with myself, Salma Kazi Wahab, here with you every Sunday between 10 and 12, bringing to you only the best of Nasheed. It is your one and only Nasheed show where you're going to hear the best and the latest of Nasheeds. But for this month of August, we know we took that cassette tape and we rewinded it right to the beginning. We're going with Radio Alansaar from the very beginning for this month of August. We know we've been commemorating the 12 years since Alansaar got that full-time license, and most of the other shows have the most amazing topics and discussions pertaining to Women's Month. So I decided to merge the two themes, and we've been covering and speaking to the women of Radio Alansaar from the beginning. So we featured from the beginning. We've had Sister Aisha Beg, we've had Shabnam Ismail, we've had Adila Wahed, we've had Sister Sayyida Nisa Sayed, who spoke on behalf of and about Marhuma Asiya Ahmad. For that first program, we had Shakira Sayed and Fatima Henry and Adila Wahed, who joined us last week, who really took us down memory lane and shared their time with Alansaar. But also, it wasn't so much about themselves, but it was more so the lessons they learned, the opportunities that Alansaar gave the people and gave the community, the relationships that we built, and the importance of Radio Alansaar and the role that radio still plays today in the homes of Muslim families around South Africa and Durban especially. On today's program, we're speaking to the OG queens of Radio Alansaar, as we like to say, the women who started it all off right from the top, that were there, that were the first female voices you heard on radio, that presented the first few programs that had come about. And as I mentioned also previously, I don't give you the names and who the idea of the guests will be for each show. And we've got 2 more of these shows left this week and next week. And you're going to be absolutely blown away when you hear their voices, and you're definitely going to remember them, inshallah. So we look forward to talking to them. If you want to send us your feedback at any point in the program and send us a WhatsApp, your thoughts, your messages, Nikah Mubarak announcements, baby birth announcements, whatever you want to share with us, you can pop us a WhatsApp 060-904-1056. I'd love to hear from you as well. Mondley's with me on technical today. And this is, like I mentioned to you, the Nasheed show. So let's see what's been happening in the Nasheed world. We know that the team, the Vocal Arts Festival team, is wrapping up their 9-city UK tour today. That's with Saeed, Saif Adam, Muslim Bilal, Ilyas Mao, Isam Labeik, Amin Davis and Mike Rook. They're closing up in London. They've been through Bradford, Oldham, Luton, Cardiff, Leicester, Coventry, Blackburn, Birmingham, and now in London. What a fantastic tour it's been. You can follow them on their social social media to see how that's been going down. We also see that people are preparing for the Rabi al-Awwal programs, estimated to start on the 4th of September. So around South Africa and around the world, you can see that already the feelings are in the air. And as you welcome spring, you always welcome Rabi al-Awwal Sharif. Subhanallah, what a beautiful time of the Muslim calendar as well, where people remember and revere the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you'll be seeing some interesting nasheeds and themes over the course of Radio Alansaar as well. We know in Cape Town, the Habibia Sufi Masjid is planning a beautiful Blessed Maulid Nasheed evening on Saturday, the 14th of September. It's going to feature Khudamul Islam, Sawt al-Rayhan, Qari Abdurrahman Luta, Aswat al-Habibia, who we featured most of them on our program as well, and also a new one, Qulub al-Noor, and that is going to be live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So we're going to follow that closely as well and see how we can make sure that Alansaar forms a part of that too. Also here we've got, still staying in Cape Town, this is a big one for the 31st of August. It's the All Stars Nasheed Showcase. Now we've spoken to them, Sister Sadika from the organizers of this event. They're partnering. It will be broadcast live on Hilal TV. All Stars Nasheed Showcase, a creative expression of Nasheed culture depicting its journey in Cape Town. They've got Sawt al-Rayhan performing there as well, Aswatul Islam, Qulub al-Noor, and Quwwatul Islam, and a number of different groups, girls groups, Oracle Origins, and so many others as well that will be a part of that. Very exciting events there happening in Cape Town. We know Zayn Bika's released something new as well this week. His new song, A Phoenix Once Was Palestine, featuring Yaman Helmi. It released on the 14th of August, and the album cover features a breathtaking mural by Murals for Gaza in Boerkaap. It's a powerful artwork that embodies the resilience and hope of the Palestinian people. And just as the phoenix rises from the ashes, his song carries a message of unwavering hope and a brighter future for the brothers and sisters in Palestine. So much more still to come your way on today's show. Let's kick it off with a little bit of Saif Adam, one that we all know and love. Welcome into the Sunday Lounge.
اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. You are the greatest man we look up to, and I stay faithful. I learn my lessons all through you, the final prophet. He led the way, so we stay true. I give my all and everything. Allahumma salli ala al-Mustafa Habibna Muhammad alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala al-Mustafa Habibna Muhammad alayhi salam. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa Allahumma salli ala al-Mustafa Habibna Muhammad alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala al-Mustafa Habibna Muhammad alayhi salam. He was respected, the most trustworthy of us all. We can never match him, but we try our best and give our all. I give my all and everything. Allahumma salli ala Mustafa Habibna Muhammad alayhi salam. اللهم صل على مصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام.
Salma Kazi on Radio Alansaar.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Craving something sweet? Then come on down to the Muslim-owned Waffle On Cafe at Saxony Westwood Mall. Dive into our scrumptious waffles, pancakes, and savory waffles, or try our irresistible croffles. Quench your thirst with our gourmet milkshakes. Planning a kids' party? Then we've got you covered. Find us at the food court Sundays to Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Waffle On Cafe, where dessert dreams come true. Yum.
It's been 12 incredible years since we got our official license, and it was all possible by you.
You've been with us through every broadcast, every story, and every moment that's brought us closer as a community.
This August, we celebrate the journey, the milestones, and the memories.
Thank you for your unwavering support. Let's keep growing together.
So join us in celebrating 12 amazing years of Radio Alansaar, its community broadcaster.
We couldn't have done it without you.
This August, we unwrap Radio Alansaar from the beginning. A documentary-like series on the birth of KZN's only Islamic radio station. A journey of hope, belief, community, and passion. Follow the Sunday Lounge as we take you through the evolution of community radio with a dynamic team. A nostalgic month-long special filled with highlights of the best of Radio Alansaar. The highs, lows, behind the scenes, and a trip down memory lane with the original presenters, staff, and management over the years. With me, Salma Kazi on the Sunday Lounge every Sunday between 10 and 12. Heartfelt conversation on an inspiring journey with the women of Radio Alansaar.
And we're live. It's just after 20 past 10. And we're back to the Sunday Lounge now with the women from the very beginning of Radio Alansaar. We're also live on our Facebook and the messages coming in on our WhatsApp as well. Monli behind assisting me here on technical and the reason we have to say that and we have to acknowledge them is because we're live on Facebook now. So it's almost like you're acting for a movie and then you have the supporting actors. And this is the supporting actor here who features in all our live Facebook feeds. You'll see them. It's either Tobeka, who you'll see running around, or you'll see Boniso, or you'll see Monli, you'll see Zakaria, you'll see Asif. There's quite a lot of them that play a role in making sure that everything sounds good on radio. Thank you to Sarah Bibi Mustafa for always listening in as well. Assalamu alaikum to you. I hope you and your family are keeping well. My precious duas. Thank you so much, Sister Sarah Bibi. Always waking up early and making sure to listen in to Radio Alansaar. Marhaba if you've just joined us, and welcome to our guests as well in studio. Let's start it off with introducing my first guest for today, who joined me here early on in this morning, and we introduced them as the original queens of Alansaar. Why? Is because before we could come in and flutter our beautiful feathers thinking we were great, these women were here doing and paving the way, making it sound so easy, and got us all excited and passionate to be on radio, and we wanted to be more involved. But there was a lot of it's not so much the glam walking around with the mic and doing the walkabouts and the pictures and the Instagram. There was none of that back in the day, and it was a lot of hard work, and it was a lot of time and effort and a lot of community service. So I want to welcome Sister Bilkish Fauda back again to Radio Alansaar after the longest time, and I think to really discuss and to really go back to where it all began. So I take this moment to welcome you officially. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's an absolute pleasure to be back here on air. Really, really emotional, I must say. To be sitting here after so many years. I think my last was around 2018, 2019, when I was last on air. And that too, not as a program host. I was just doing a presentation for the cancer support group at that time. But it's really been great to be back, and it was great being a presenter. And as you put it, one of the OG presenters of Radio Alansaar.
No, it really was such a significant time. And as I mentioned to you off air before the show started, we've been highlighting over the years the purpose of this was to really just show how far the radio station has come in these. It's been 12 years of the permanent full-time license. Of course, Radio Alansaar started way before that, and with the part-time seasonal license, and then was the switch to full-time radio. And then we moved over to this building and everything. I missed out on that excitement, but still we get to be very much a part of it. But how did you get involved with the radio station from the beginning? Like where did that phone call come from, or how did that start?
So my journey actually started with the Alansaar Foundation when I was actually, I'd say it started with my kids, because my kids were at Mariam B. Sultan preschool. And that's how I found out about the Alansaar Foundation. And I was employed at the preschool for about a year. And that's when I met the late Mr. Riaz Jamal. May Allah grant him the highest status in Jannah. And so that's where I met him. And he asked me to do a little segment on the then a newspaper publication that the Alansaar Foundation. Yes. Yeah. So I was doing a monthly, a kids section.
Okay.
There. So that's where I started. And I must say, and then I started listening into Radio Alansaar, and I was so fascinated with the program that Nadia Muhammad hosted. So I think she hosted the initial kids program on Radio Alansaar. And I always thought, wow, I'd love to do that. I mean, not just my classroom. I'd like to take it out further and speak to all the kids in the community. And then Mr. Jamal asked if I would like to do, Nadia had left. And then Mr. Jamal asked if I would like to do a kids program. And I jumped at the opportunity, and that was around 2002. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I loved it.
2002. We hadn't even finished school that time. But very exciting. What a wonderful way to start it off. I want to take this moment to welcome also to the studio, who came in straight like her daughter, came straight out of the gym, straight off the treadmill. But wonderful. She's doing amazing things. But she's been on the Sunday Lounge before when we had our Mother's Day program. But I want to take this moment to honor her and introduce her. Not that I have to introduce her, but yes, it's been the longest time. But this time today, we're going to talk about the work that was on radio and the work that you guys put into radio to pave the way for what you see today. Sister Shamima Kathri, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much for being here.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Salma, for having me on your radio. And you know what, listeners, before we go any further, even before Salma asks me any questions, I have to tell you guys that Salma's first debut on radio was on my program as a young schoolgirl, alhamdulillah. So it just when I hear you on radio, it just takes me back and gives me such good feelings that, I was part of it. So
we're crying a lot on these shows, by the way. Every Sunday, there's somebody or the other shedding tears. And it's been a very emotionally intense month. Because everybody's thinking about where it all began and what they all went through and what happened to get the full-time license. And it's been the most amazing memories. When you look at the wall, what you're saying, when you used to interview, your pictures are there on that wall, interviewing the new and upcoming people. We weren't even presenters that time. You just used to bring us into the studio.
I would invite youngsters. So my first start with radio was actually not even with Radio Alansaar. Channel Islam decided they were going to broadcast from Durban. And myself and Hafiz Wadi is very well known on radio. We started off at somebody's house in the Overport area. Mm-hmm. We would go on a Sunday morning at like 6, I think. And in a room, we would broadcast, and Hafiz Wadi would do some nasiha, and I would do I can't even remember too clearly, but I think it was part of like entertaining kids. And that was my start. And then I was teaching, and Hafiz Wadi approached me and he said to me, there's a slot open. Would you like to do a kids program? And I said, no, I don't even know anything about it. I can't do it. And he said to me, well, you just got to give it a try. And he pushed and he convinced me. Can you tell you what? I scripted every word that I was going to say. I actually scripted Assalamu alaikum and what I was going to say next.
Just
and
in case you forget.
And yeah. And I was absolutely nervous. And as time went by, then I suppose now you get to wing it by the end of it. But it was a beautiful start. It was a case of just somebody pushing me and saying, hey, you know what, you can do it. But also before that, Hafiz Wadi would do, you must remember, radio was only in Ramadan.
Yeah.
Just for the month. So everybody was interested. Everybody wanted to be, you're listening to, it's not like now every day. And he had a seri program, okay, where he would do nasiha. And on about 3 separate occasions, I came on as a guest on his radio. So my family were all having seri and they had to whisper and I was in the room and no one could talk. My kids were little and I would give, like empowerment for women and that kind of thing and relating it to the deen. So those bits were the start to my so-called career in broadcast.
It's so wonderful. What beautiful beginnings and what wonderful memories. Sister Bilkish, if I were to, and I'm going to make Monli run up and down today. Thank you for your patience, Monli. If you wish to send in any messages at any point in the programs, you're welcome to do so at any point, 060-904-1056, and we would love to receive your messages as well. We're also live streaming on Facebook also. What was the work environment like at that time for you or some of the people that you perhaps interacted with mostly at that time? What was that experience like?
So, Salma, as I said to you before, I would come into the studio and not just the studio, the building, and everybody. And we were just one big happy family. And we weren't just, the presenter for that show. We were Radio Alansaar, and
I love that.
Yes, that's what we
percent.
Yes, we worked collectively. We didn't work as individuals for one show. And that's what I loved about it. It was coming home. It was coming home each time. It was so special. And what really got to me was as a young woman with young children, I was allowed to bring my kids into the studio, and for me that was important. I mean, which job opportunity would allow you to bring your kids into the studio? And at some phase of that broadcasting, I had twins and they were still in their little car seats, and I would bring them into studio and everybody knew, the twins are coming with the presenter, and some would look a bit surprised, but that's how I did it. I had them on either side of my chair and I'd be rocking one with one foot and rocking one with the other and doing the program. And whilst the program was going on, you'd hear little murmurs and little cries. And for me, that was important because the foundation accepted who I was, accepted that besides a presenter, I was a woman, I was a mom, a mother, yes. So, knowing that, it made this home.
Wow, that is a lot, and it makes me think also that Mother's Day show that we were on, and Sister Shamima was with, and her daughter Shaista, and Shaista couldn't believe I went off air during an ad break to change my son's nappy. But I suppose it comes with the work, and that's an advantage to radio also at the same time. People can't necessarily see all of that, but it's also a reality because you also mentioned you were also a mother during that time at radio. What was that like, juggling that? Was there much preparation involved for the radio itself, and how did you balance the both, Sister Shamima?
I was working as well, so I would drop my children home, give them instructions on what kind of homework to do, and only years and years later they tell me that the minute I left, they were fooling around and playing, and they would listen to the radio in the background, and when they knew the program finished, then they would sit and study and
They
do
knew you were
homework.
coming back.
Yes. So they like confessed to that much later. But it was a challenge because you have to now leave work, drop kids at home, make sure they're fed, and then I would rush off to radio. At that stage, I was our first radio station was at Mariam B. I'm not sure if Bilkish remembers that. It was a small little classroom. Only you could fit in there. If you needed to interview somebody, it was a tight squeeze. And I'm not sure, but I think it was the air curtains that were put inside for the sound barrier. I mean, nothing like what I'm seeing at present, So that was our start. We would go in there, and there was no technical team, helping you. Like you've got your youngster here helping you. Alhamdulillah, you did everything by yourself, and it was just you and one other person. And we would, at the end of the month, we would have like a dinner, and everybody would get to meet, and they'd give you awards. So it was really amazing. And as Bilkis is saying, it was a real family time. And in that month, everybody got to know each other. You did your program, and then you also listened to the other program, so knew exactly who was who in the zoo in terms of programming. And that was the start with the children's program. And then when you guys moved here to West Road, then I still did programs from here. I did a kids program, but for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the program. I tried, I just could not remember. And then I also did a program where I did book reviews, which I just found so interesting. So I would get a book, I would research it, and I would do reviews, and people would call in and ask me, okay, where is this book available? And lots of books were available at the Alansaar bookshop, but also a lot at the library. This was back where there was no Instagram, and any research you had to do
was through a book.
And you had to go and you do your research, and if you needed people to come as guests, you couldn't just WhatsApp them like you just did. This is my time. You had to phone, and you had to be sitting after your program. You had to be sitting here in the studio for another half an hour planning, and then getting gifts. You had to organize with Upper Asia, and Bilkis spoke about Upper Asia as well. I mean, I have so many fond memories of Upper Asia, and just last year I even taught her her grandson. So it's been an amazing journey.
Subhanallah, what a beautiful full circle journey. I want to know about those awards. We're going to talk about that. I want to know about that because you mentioned awards. We do have some sort of awards nowadays. I mean, I got to experience it for the first time towards the end of last year. And like I mentioned to Sister Bilkis, it's a whole new team now. And the acknowledgement of different presenters, long-standing service awards, or the innovative shows and concepts, or whatever it was. So it'll be nice to touch on that. We're doing some throwback and flashback shows, specials with the Sunday Lounge, where we get to really go back in memory lane to think what was radio like from the very beginning, and merging that and tying that in with Women's Month. So it's the women of Radio Alansaar from the very beginning. Sister Razia says, okay, she's just sending a beautiful message. Allah is the only one who knows what's best for us. He's the only one who knows what the future holds. And some beautiful du'as to Salma and the team. We thank you for that. We love the messages that we get from you. If you wish to share any of your thoughts as well, 060-904-1056. We've got Shamima Catherine in studio with us, Sister Bilkis Fauda, one more guest who will make her way to us very, very shortly. We know that the Muslimah today is happening at NMJ, so many of them are at that particular event that's going on. We know Al Baraka had their event also that started yesterday, and Sister Samaya Khan and the Al Baraka team were covering that, and they are live from there. There's some pop-ups and vendors and everything I know that was going on there as well. So lots of events happening in Durban, and the same happening next week as well. But you keep your radio turned on and stay on right between now and 12 o'clock. Here's another one most highly requested. I'm Alive, Mahir Zain, Atif Aslam.
You're the reason my life's worth living. You're the reason I'm alive. I'd be lost without you. You're the reason that I strive. You're my destiny. You're my reverie. the reason that you are all that I believe. Ilahi, 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 Mola. Ilahi, 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 Mola. मलंग में जिंदगी की राह चल चला है खुदा एक तेरा मेरा है एक फलसफा और बदोश मदहोश तेरे इश्क में मैं शराबूर हूँ इलाही 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 मौला इलाही इलाही मौला For so long I've been denying, but now I feel like I'm flying. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. Now nothing seems impossible. With you I feel unstoppable. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. Arabadosh, madhosh, tere ishq mein pure hu. Ilahi, 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 mola. Ilahi, 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 mola.
Salma Kazi on Radio Alansaar. Nasheed on the Sunday Lounge with Salma Kazi. Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Guess what, Durban? Actually, guess what, Westville? Spring into action this September 1st at the Village Market Mall. Yes, that's right. 123 Jan Hofmeyer Road is the place to be. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., indulge in a delicious array of breakfast, brunch, lunch, or even an early dinner. There's something for everyone with horseback riding, kiddies entertainment, and shopping galore for mums and dads. Located opposite Westville Boys High and next to the Sufi Masjid. Mark your calendars. The Sunday Village Market this September 1st. See you there.
This August, we unwrap Radio Alansaar from the beginning. A documentary-like series on the birth of KZN's only Islamic radio station. A journey of hope, belief, community, and passion. Follow the Sunday Lounge as we take you through the evolution of community radio with a dynamic team. A nostalgic month-long special filled with highlights of the best of Radio Alansaar. The highs, lows, behind the scenes, and a trip down memory lane with the original presenters, staff, and management over the years. With me, Salma Kazi on the Sunday Lounge every Sunday between 10 and 12. Heartfelt conversation on an inspiring journey with the women of Radio Alansaar.
And we're back. It's about 10 to, well, just after 11 here on Radio Alansaar. We're with you till 12 o'clock. We're live on Facebook as well. And we're doing Radio Alansaar from the beginning. It's a Sunday lounge, of course, with a little bit of nasheeds in between, but a lot more talk this time, just for this month, where we get to really reflect on the moments and the memories with Radio Alansaar. Joining me in studio today is Sister Bilkish Fauda and Shamima Kathri as well. Now, one of the most beautiful things about being on radio is the opportunities that come with it. And that's something that we always talk about, that what Radio Alansaar has given not only to youth and to students and to volunteers, but to also those people that were part of the radio station at that time, the people that they perhaps got to meet with, the events they got to participate in, or perhaps the networking. Sister Shamima touched on that briefly, where she mentioned the dinners at the end of every month, and they got to learn more about each another, what each one does. And you must know that was a time when many of the organizations did not exist that exist now. We didn't have so many different organizations or so many charity organizations, and they weren't, like we mentioned, there was no Instagram, there was no WhatsApp groups, there was nothing that time. So it was pretty much make and do for yourself, and you had to work to build your brand, and you had to network, you had to meet, and you had to attend these things. Qari Lockhart was on radio not too long ago, and he also emphasized that the importance of bridging ties and building relations, especially when we had the whammy group that Marhum Riaz Jamal was a part of as well. And my father always tells me, he says, the people those times that were leading, they were the ones who as youth were involved in all this community work, and that's how they could found these organizations that were leading today. So you have to look carefully, and he told me, he says, watch the youth today that are in those movements. They will be the ones in the next 20 years that you will see people will talk about. And I think that is so important. That's something we need to really realize, the role community work and the role Radio Alansaar and organizations like this do play. Sister Bilkish, if I may ask you, what were some of the opportunities that radio perhaps exposed you to, or what community work did you get involved with through your time with Radio Alansaar?
So, with me, I think the time when I got the most out of the networking was during our live programs, during the souk. That's when we got to meet, all our listeners, and people would come over and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I love your program. And your networking circle was just increasing, getting bigger and bigger, and all through the medium of broadcasting, being here on radio. Also, I think the Kiddies program was a beautiful foundation for getting the youth involved, you know, and having the live programs, getting them to come on stage as well. That was such a beautiful platform for getting the youth involved. And that should be our focus, because our youth are our tomorrow. And for me, that was really great. It was my way of networking with the community, getting to know the community better. And also, if I think about my radio programs, initially I started off with the Kiddies program, and thereafter I moved on to a program called Developing Dilemmas, and that was dealing with education. And I would have moms calling me and asking me on how do I deal with this, my child starting school, how do I deal with anxiety, or my child's having a problem with writing or reading. And since I was very much into special needs education, I was able to help them, and even getting guests, professional guests, occupational therapies, physiotherapists, and educational psychologists that would now help moms as well. So I wasn't just getting to know the moms, but also the kids. And for me, that was amazing. I think you get to build your portfolio. If I look at it personally, I always think of Radio Alansaar as my little classroom that helped boost me onto a global platform, because I now present globally as well, and this has been my foundation, definitely.
Oh wow! So you're on other currently. What are you?
When I say present, I mean for the education sector. I'm part of the World Forum Foundation for Early Childhood Development.
Wow.
And they've given me opportunities to present in person at their global forums.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And conferences.
So you were the right person to consult then with all our issues with our young little ones.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Now, Sister Shamima, you also mentioned before the group, and I want to tap into that also. Tell us a little about those awards ceremonies you said you all used to have. And then also I want to lead into the same question, similar to what I mentioned to Bilkish now, about the opportunities that radio could give and maybe advice to the younger generation today. But let's start with that awards before I forget.
Okay. You must remember it was radio just for a month.
Yeah.
So when that month was over, Riaz Jamal and the team needed to thank all of us. You remember, every single person was a volunteer.
Okay.
There was, everybody else had another job. It wasn't full time, and you would go to radio probably for an hour or 2 hours a week or whatever, if it was every day, whatever your programming was. And it was a way for everybody to meet and network. And then I actually still have some of the little trophies.
Oh, you got trophies.
Yeah. Little things that we got. If I had known, I would have brought it along. But it was amazing because it was just them saying thank you to you for your running around and the giving up your time. Because you must remember, everybody had other jobs. There were some, obviously, who, were stay-at-home moms. But that too, you had to plan, sort out, like Sister Bilk is saying, how she came in with her 2 babas. So that's and then after that, after Ramadan, then I think it was in the month of Dhul Hijjah.
Yes.
In that month also, and then it went to Rabi al-Awwal. So first it was just 1 month. Then as the years went by, it went to 2 months, and then it went to 3 months. And I know that getting of the license carried on for years and years and years. There was like volumes of paperwork involved to get that. But alhamdulillah, look at what you guys have at present. Talking about opportunities, my start had been with kids programs, and my aim was to empower children to be able to speak for themselves. So I would always have children as guests on my show. I would bring children in. They would come with their parents. So, parents were always very, very supportive. They would come in, or I would get them to call in. I would have it pre-planned, and then they would be just your regular callers. And it was educational. So I would do not just talking to kids. I would do a story, or I tell them a whole story, and then I would ask questions about it. So it was interactive. I know kids would tell me, I got home quickly from madrasa because I knew it was your program. And I would have children from like 4 years old to 15 years old for calling in. I remember getting a call from a young boy, and I was actually a bit apprehensive because I thought it was an adult that I was talking to, only to realize it was like a 15-year-old boy who was chatting to me. And he said to me, he found the program so interesting. And it is empowering the children to say that, hey, you can do it as well. I'm a teacher, and at school we have children who are able to just chat and talk to a stranger, and those who are so shy. We recently had a drama week at school, and there's some kids who said, oh, well, I can't take part, I'm too shy. And we had insisted that,
that's my daughter. Yeah.
No, we had listen to this. We had insisted that they must take part, and parents at the end sent us emails or even spoke to some of the educators to say, you know what, I didn't know my child had it in her.
Yeah.
I was astounded to see her standing up on stage and delivering a speech or taking part, doing a character. And I think that's what radio is. You're a character. You're talking to people. I mean, although you are chatting, I listen to your program all the time, and off the cuff, you're just chatting and chatting, but it's pre-planned. It's you know what you're going to say. And if you have to listen to somebody on radio when they started, and somebody who's gone, through the mill, probably maybe say 6 months later, you'd see a difference because the person becomes more confident. So the message I'm saying to our youth is, get involved in community activities. Offer your services at radio. Contact somebody like Salma Kazi Wahab or somebody in a kids program and say, I'd like to help. Or even our teenagers. I just find that with social media, the art of reading has been lost.
Yeah.
I used to do the book review program, and then I also did a program on parenting. And I did that with Idris Khamisa. So we would talk.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
I
think that was closer to our time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was towards the latter time of my
I remember that program.
Time on radio. And we would talk about issues that parents would have. We would talk about bullying, and we would talk about the child with the tantrum, and the calls that we got asking for advice was amazing. I remember, again, we didn't have all this fancy goodies that you guys have.
But you had that, and that was the importance of that topic. And I want to bring Sister Bilkish in now at that point as well. You see, you mentioned bullying, and I find that the issues she was discussing that time as well are the same things people are facing now. And I feel it's being discussed less because we're skimming through things and we're feeling, no, we need to discuss this. We need to talk AI. Which is all well and good, amazing. We have to move with times. But there are issues that were addressed prior, because again we thought, okay, we're coming on for that 1 month during Ramadan, let's make the most of it. What are the most important things? So I almost described it as a concentrate. I said we used to concentrate all the most important issues into that 30 days and make the most of it. And now, because we're full time, maybe somehow it's getting lost in the wind. Yeah,
that you are so right. Using the word concentrate, because it was like jam-packed.
Yes.
Every single program had some message for you, and it was nasiha, and it was advice, and it was something for the youth, it was something for the old people, it was the nuts, it was the nasheeds, it was like a whole gamut of programs. And then, yes, there are all the programs now, and I mean, because you guys are full-time, it's spread out.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe there's this message to take back to your team, to say that, you know what, we need to touch on these kind of topics, because it's the same problems that we experienced back then is happening now. The child being bullied, the child who's anxious, like Sister Bilkish spoke about. The parent just feels that, my child only is a problem.
Yeah.
Why does my child misbehave? Why does my child not listen? And that one I'm seeing on Instagram, that mom's just got it all together. Believe me, everybody's got the same problems.
It's not the reality. Interesting dynamics unfolding here with the program. And when you have a panel of women as well, when you look at Bibi Amina had a program on Friday, and she had a number of women from different backgrounds join her program, and all adding and contributing such wonderful insight. So this is Sunday Lounge, the home of Nasheed, of course, and also we're just a minute away from 11 o'clock. So I'm going to pave my way for the news and so forth, and your ad breaks. And when we return on the other side of this, we debut Zayn Bika's new track, A Phoenix That Was Palestine. We'll debut that, and we also welcome our third guest that's joining us on Sunday Lounge. So it's a Sunday Lounge, Radio Alansaar, from the very beginning, as we highlight Radio Alansaar and the history and the what it paved for all of us that's still to come, the women of Radio Alansaar from the very top. You with me, Salma Kazi, between now and 12 o'clock.
أسمو وأجتاز السماء جلالا فأزيد أسراب الغيوم جمالا وألون الدنيا بأجمل بسمة وأكون للخير العميم مثالا أسمو وأجتاز السماء جلالا فأزيد أسراب الغيوم جمالا وألون الدنيا بأجمل بسمة وأكون للخير العميم مثالا وأراقب الرحمن جل جلاله تقدست أسماؤه وتعالى وأكون للوطن الحبيب مشيدا أنمى إليه وأستفيض جلالا وأراقب الرحمن جل جلاله وتقدست أسماؤه وتعالى وأكون للوطن الحبيب مشيدا أنمى إليه وأستفيض جلالا السماء جلالا فأزيد أسراب الغيوم جمالا وألون الدنيا بأجمل بسمة وأكون للخير العميم مثالا وأبر محتسبا بأم وأب فاض علي محبة ودلالا وأكون في عمل التطوع قدوة وأصوغ من عزم الرجال مجال وأبر محتسبا بأم وأب فاض علي محبة ودلالا وأكون في عمل التطوع قدوة وأصوغ من عزم الرجال مجال.
This hadith is sponsored by Ashraful Aid, International Humanitarian Organization.
حديث أدي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الاقتصاد في النفقة نصف المعيشة والتودد إلى الناس نصف العقل وحسن السؤال نصف العلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, moderation in spending is half of one's sustenance. Friendliness towards people is half of one's intelligence. And asking good questions is half of one's knowledge.
This hadith is sponsored by Ashraful Aid, International Humanitarian Organization.
Are you looking for a meaningful way to fulfill your zakat obligation? Look no further than Ashraful Aid. With our trusted track record, your zakat reaches those who need it the most in the most honorable and dignified manner. Visit our website at www.ashrafulaid.org.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
मेरे नबी प्यारे नबी सुन्नत तेरी दुनिया दी.
Sunnah a day. The following dua should be recited before entering the bathroom. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. O Allah, I seek your protection from the male and female devil. Enter the bathroom with the left foot.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
Imagine this. You're putting together a 7-color meal, from the creamy pasta to the glazed carrots and flavorful onion gravy. This entire meal is made with our 100% pure extra virgin olive oil from our La Familia range, bringing outstanding quality and taste to your kitchen. Shop La Familia 100% pure extra virgin olive oil at any leading supermarkets near you. La Familia, heart of the home.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Alansaar News.
Making news at 11, a grieving family in Phoenix, north of Durban, wants answers after their daughter was killed in a hit-and-run incident that occurred in the early hours of Friday morning. And Hezbollah said yesterday that it struck an area in northern Israel in retaliation for a new massacre in southern Lebanon. Good morning, I'm Tabila Duma. A grieving family in Phoenix, north of Durban, wants answers after their daughter Pumla Mtshali was killed in a hit-and-run incident that occurred in the early hours of Friday morning. KwaZulu-Natal police have confirmed that the vehicle involved was attached to the SAPS Royal Protection Services. It was, however, reported stolen by the driver and found in a sugarcane plantation. Mtshali was walking along the Phoenix Highway. She was crossing the road when a black SUV struck her, knocking her to the ground. The driver did not stop. The 26-year-old mother of two died instantly. An eyewitness says after the incident, unknown individuals returned to the scene to take the vehicle's number plate that had fallen. The local security company Reaction Unit South Africa reported finding a black vehicle belonging to the SAPS in a sugarcane plantation in the Kinglands area. This was hours after the incident. Meanwhile, Pumla's distraught family have been left reeling by the accident. The family suspect that the driver of the vehicle is trying to cover up what they call a murder. The victim's mother, Mangele Mjali, says she wants justice for her daughter and has appealed for the police to investigate the incident thoroughly. Mjali's sister, also a police officer, says that she will not rest until she gets justice for her sibling. KZN police spokesperson Colonel Robert Nejunda says an investigation is underway to establish who was driving the vehicle at the time of the hit and run. 2 cases have been opened with the police, one of culpable homicide and one of theft of a motor vehicle. A multi-vehicle accident on the N3 near Market Road left 14 people injured, with injuries ranging from minor to serious. According to Midlands CMS, their teams were dispatched to the scene, where they found multiple vehicles, including taxis, involved in the collision. Spokesperson Roland Robertson said that the patients were treated at the scene before being transported to various hospitals for further care. In a separate incident, Midlands CMS responded to another multi-vehicle pile-up on the N3 near Hilton. According to Robertson, these accidents were caused by poor visibility due to smoke from nearby wildfires. Meanwhile, no deaths or injuries have been reported in the fire which damaged public health buildings and workers' belongings in Dudjwa and Flagstaff in the Eastern Cape yesterday morning. 10 buildings that accommodated 40 healthcare workers were destroyed at the Holy Cross Hospital in Flagstaff. The fire, which started at the Dudjwa Community Health Centre, also burnt an incinerator room. Provincial Health spokesperson Mkhululi Ndamase confirmed the fire, saying that the incinerator room at a community health centre in Dudjwa had been burnt to the ground by a fire that began outside the facility and later spread to other buildings. Ndamase said that the department is making arrangements to accommodate the affected health workers, while others will be released to go to their homes. Patients from healthcare facilities affected have since been transferred to Butterworth Hospital. The community of Riverlands near Malmesbury in the Swartland municipality is unsettled as another flash flood has caused chaos. This is after 3 retention dams on a farm burst their banks last week, resulting in flooding which caused serious damage to homes, decimated water infrastructure and halted the electricity supply. Yesterday afternoon, a spillway created to slowly release water pressure from a 4th dam turned into a flash flood in an instant. Fear struck the Riverlands community as they described hearing something sounding like thunder. A torrent of water rushed through a part of the area once again, less than 2 weeks after 3 dams caused flooding. The community and the Swartland municipality were busy with mop-up operations when the latest incident occurred. Emergency evacuations were conducted, but the water has subsided, allowing for people to return home. Over 100 people are, however, still provided with a shelter in 2 community facilities. Work was set to start on repairs to the water infrastructure. The municipality and a number of aid organizations, including Gift of the Givers, have been on site since the initial flood. The Department of Water and Sanitation has since given the assurance that a 4th dam on the farm no longer poses a threat of bursting its banks. Damage assessments are currently underway. No fatalities or injuries have been reported, but a number of people received treatment for shock. And finally, Hezbollah said yesterday that it struck the Eilat Hashahara kibbutz in northern Israel in retaliation for a new massacre in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military said that 2 soldiers were wounded in a rocket attack from Lebanon, adding that a total of 55 rockets had been fired in the latest strikes. Hezbollah said that its attack came in response to the Israeli army's assaults on the Kafur village in Nabatea, north of the Litani line earlier yesterday, killing 10 people, including Syrian children and their mother, and injuring others, including Sudanese workers. Hezbollah said that it added Eilat Hashahar to its firing schedule and struck the settlement with Katyusha rockets for the first time. According to Hezbollah's military media, the settlement is located northeast of Safad in the Upper Galilee and some 10 kilometers from the Lebanese southern border. In another statement, Hezbollah announced targeting a gathering of Israeli soldiers in the Al-Barija site with 2 attack drones hitting it directly. Israeli media outlets said that the barrage of rockets fired from Lebanon towards the Northland in areas that weren't evacuated caused fires to erupt. Tensions escalated on the Lebanese southern border on Friday night and yesterday morning as 10 people died in Kafur in Nabatea as a result of an Israeli raid that targeted a building in the village. The raid hit a cement and stone factory in the industrial zone of Tul Kafur. It is the second Israeli attack on the village, hundreds of meters from a previous raid that destroyed a house last week. The raid killed an entire Syrian family comprised of the factory's janitor, the mother and their children, and injured others, including Syrian and Sudanese workers. Taking a look at temperatures, Durban is at 15 to 23, Richards Bay 14 to 28, Tulundi 14 to 28, Ladysmith 9 to 31, and Margate is at 13 to 23. Your weather in Pietermaritzburg is at 11 to 27, and Newcastle is at 8 to 29. For Alansaar News, I'm Tabila Duma.
You've tried the rest, now come to the best. Vodacom Shop for smartphones, tablets, laptops, routers, SIM cards, gaming, and the latest accessories to complete the look. Home and business internet to ensure that you have the best connection everywhere you go. Plug and play to fully installed fiber. Our infrastructure provides a resilient platform for your critical business applications, which will help your business perform best. Get the right amount of everything. Vodacom Shop at the Pavilion Entrance 6, Westwood Mall, Bluff Towers, The Workshop, Umlazi Megacity, City View, Bridge City Kwamashu, Brookside Mall Pietermaritzburg, and the Nelson Mandela Square Sandton.
They convince the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, one martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا
This August, we unwrap Radio Alansaar from the beginning. A documentary-like series on the birth of KZN's only Islamic radio station, a journey of hope, belief, community, and passion. Follow the Sunday Lounge as we take you through the evolution of community radio with a dynamic team. A nostalgic month-long special filled with highlights of the best of Radio Alansaar, the highs, lows, behind the scenes, and a trip down memory lane with the original presenters, staff, and management over the years. With me, Salma Kazi on the Sunday Lounge every Sunday between 10 and 12. Heartfelt conversation on an inspiring journey with the women of Radio Alansaar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. 15 minutes after 11 o'clock. Welcome into it. It's the Sunday Lounge where we're really throwing it back to back in the day, Radio Alansaar from the very beginning for this month of August. Also the month of Women's Month. So most of the shows are talking all things women and what affects the lives of women and the impact women have had on our lives and on the community and in and around the world and the women throughout history. But I've been really digging through the archives, literally, with the women that have paved the way for us here at Radio Alansaar, from in radio administration to presenters, and so many more women still to come in these last two shows with you before we switch into Rabi al-Awwal mode and Sira and shift focus from September, inshallah. It's going to be a blessed time. But with me in studio now, we're thrilled and honored to be joined by all bright and shining in her forever glory, Sister Fawzia Amaji. I wish I had those things, those sound effects. I know it's here somewhere. I know Mondley has it. You know that sound effect thing that we have, man, that's like people cheering and stuff. There's something like that here on the system. But anyway, I would have played that if I knew where it was. But that is one of the drum roll, and there's people doing applause and stuff here on the system. But he's going to find it eventually. But it is here. But yes, she needs no introduction. One of the most original presenters here on Radio Alansaar, and she's all over our entrance reception wall as well, the Hall of Fame as we call it. But yes, we're joined by Bilkish Fowler, Shamima Kathri also, and we're rewinding even further to the beginning with Sister Fawzia Amaji. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Make me sound very ancient, Salma.
You don't look it at all. And I had to just make sure my words were all enunciated correctly in my pronunciation today because you're watching me so intensely. There's it. There's the cheers.
Oh,
he found it. Thanks, Manli. But what a pleasure to have you in the studio with us today. I know you're busy and you're attending that conference in Erie, but thank you so much for making the time out to be with us in the studio as we commemorate the past 12 years of Alansaar getting a full-time license. Not the beginning of Radio Alansaar, because that started way before that. In humble beginnings, some kitchens and bedrooms and bathrooms and homes and people lounge suites and jumping over walls. And we've heard all the memories and the stories being shared. But what was your beginning like? Tell us about that and the people you interacted with at that time. Just take us through that.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. It was a wonderful, phenomenal time. Alhamdulillah. Perhaps it wasn't as high tech as it is now. I can see how beautiful it is now. But that had its own beauty. We were so together. I think we were talking about it just now off radio. That togetherness with the station master, with the friends, with Shamima, you, with all of us. It was just a good bonding time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I heard you earlier on saying, it was voluntary work. So it wasn't, you just left your job and then you came here and you did your 1 hour stint or whatever it is. And you were given carte blanche. So if you asked me what programs I ran, I did a number of programs, so many, I can't even count. I started off as IQ, the quizmaster lady. And then I went on to doing a medical file, went on to doing a travel program. So it was so varied. I was educated, alhamdulillah, with the notion that I want to educate and inform people. But for me, it was such a learning experience.
I think what's beautiful about that also, like you mentioned, where we have now, I think over 20 or 30, a total of almost 80 presenters now that are part of Radio Alansaar in its entirety. So you can always fall back on another one if one isn't available. There's enough backup options that are available now, whereas the team was much smaller then.
Absolutely,
so who did it consist of at that time? If you could remember or name throw a little bit.
You'll have to help me, Shamima. But yes, of course, we had A.B. Dawji at the beginning, right at the beginning. He was our station master. And that when I just started, there were not people like Shagufta wasn't still there, Baji wasn't there.
Right.
Shagufta Baji. But there were Muhammad Variawa was there.
Yeah.
Muhammad Variawa. I'm trying to think.
We know Faisal Suleiman was there.
Yes, he was there.
Faisal Suleiman was there.
Yeah.
And AK was a very vital...
AK Jingles.
Yes, AK Jingles played a very vital role with all the technology, doing the advertisements.
Okay.
Even the technical team was very small. They were just like two guys.
Azim, his sons were there, helping us. Irfan, I think.
Irfan Bucks,
yes. But I can't remember the...
Irfan's all grown up now.
Yes, I'm sure.
He was my student as well.
Wow, mashallah. And he just had his third child now. Mashallah, yes. So it's wonderful. It's come a long way. And as we mentioned with Stabilkish as well earlier, the interaction, like you mentioned, with the staff at that time, and you interacted with different people, and the work culture and work environment was like. But how did radio create and build opportunities within the community? How important was that community? How important was Radio Alansaar for the community at that time?
I think because there hadn't been anything like it before. It was something new, a novelty, and something new to our community. It was being grasped and wanted. People wanted to hear something about Islam, about our community, our society, the things that we did. It encouraged, putting little fairs together. Now it's so common, but in those days it wasn't. And the little get-togethers that we put together, whether it was the Alansaar fair or the pre-Ramadan fair or something like that, it was a way of bonding with our little community in Durban. And when people came from other parts of South Africa, it was also a way. People wanted to know you. You were like a celebrity. Absolutely.
No, that's true. But I think it's so important to an extent, like Sister Bilkish mentioned also. She says that was her biggest highlight when it was meeting the people that actually listened to you, when it was about making that impact, meeting those moms, helping the people in the community. I wanted to just reiterate that point again, Sister Bilkish, when you mentioned about the children, and we even spoke about it before going on air as well. How important is that? Is actually helping and understanding the problems and issues faced by community, topics that need to get addressed, that could perhaps be an inspiration or advice for today, people in media or those working in community service as well. How important is that with addressing and handling certain topics that are important and relevant to the community?
I think it is very important because a lot of the times parents or mums feel they are alone in their problems, or it's only their child, or this specific problem, it's just experienced by them. But when you speak about your problems, and you realize there are many, many more out there who have the same problems, and Alhamdulillah, radio has given us that platform to now get mums involved, and it's a platform where us as presenters can now put it out there and say bullying or disabilities in learning. These are problems that communities face, not just one family or two families, but it's common in communities. So for me, radio was a way to get that across, that you are not alone in your problems.
And what do you think today, in this day and age, now looking at it so many years later, you now got grandchildren,
Yes.
What do you think are important issues that should be addressed today?
Again, I would say, the way we bring our kids up, what's important, what's not important. I always say, teach your children kindness, teach your children empathy, teach your children about being grateful, and let us start with those concepts, and they will carry forward, and I think working with children from the early childhood years, this is where you are setting the foundation. And if the radio still has a program that deals with that specific age group, then alhamdulillah, we're not just reaching out at our children through the kiddies program, but it's the mums who are learning as well.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Nothing has changed from those days of those problems that you're talking about, Bilkis. What we acknowledged with our children and the children that we taught, or our own children.
Exactly.
It's the same thing that's going on today, Salma. Am I right?
Yes.
100%.
Perhaps we're a little bit deeper now with social media, but the same, we had to, as parents, as teachers, we had to handle the same problems.
It's kind of a common factor here. We all,
it's universal.
All work with teachers.
Yes,
we all work with children.
But I think, speaking about the same problems still existing, but we've now got social media. Parents are more aware of alternate therapies.
Yes.
And
there's help.
Yes, there's help. But previously, if I look at myself as a teacher, I had to deal with it. I couldn't just say your child needs to see a therapist. I looked for ways to now help this mom and help the child.
You had to be the psychologist. You had to be that assessor.
Everything. I had to be everything. But now, I can just say, oh, well, you need to take your child to a therapist, or you need to do this. And in a way, okay, it's help, but I still think we as teachers or educators, we the second moms, we should be able to help each other.
Now there's even medication that's been prescribed for children now with issues. Mind you, now we're getting told if your child has anxiety, give them this. If your child is like this, give them that. If they're too active, give them this. I find that a bit...
Actually, it's too common.
It is. It is becoming very common, but we're not actually addressing the issues, because Sister Shamima also mentioned you and Idris Khamisa did the parenting program at that time. And I'm sure you had moms calling in saying, I've got this issue, I've got that issue. And I feel maybe that personal thing is what people need.
It's the same issues, like Fauzia is saying. It's exactly the same issues. And you must remember that things have become very fast moving now. With social media, there's this immediate gratification. If I need to know about my child has a certain type of anxiety, the doctors told me, I research it, I know what to do. And we sometimes want to sort of fix the problem by ourselves. I just feel that with radio, there's the opportunity to educate people
Parents.
more on particular topics. You know, you said you and Mohammed Variawat spoke about a particular topic and you're going to do the research.
Yeah.
If something like getting children to read again can be a topic that you'll advertise for 2 weeks and say, you know what, parents, this is a program you must listen to. It's going to direct the parents to listen. You must remember when we had just our 1 month program, everybody was listening the entire day. We had the regular callers. We had Mrs. Asmal, Mrs. Asmal, who would listen to the radio. We had our regulars who would phone in, compliment, praise us, and then give us advice. And a lot of the older generation, you know, I was hoping that somebody on radio would be listening and, you know, who's an adult now and say, hey, I remember Bilkish, I remember Shamima, or I remember Sister Fozia, you know, to say that, you know, because we've been on for such a long time, a lot of your listeners, may not even know who we are.
I think the listeners have just evolved.
Yes.
They have evolved. And when we speak about it, even as far, you were further back, even as far back when we started, we realized the differences back then. And we did a throwback show when I went on with Zahir during the week and I asked people to call. And he looked at me and he says, they don't call anymore. And I said, what do you mean they don't call anymore? He says, no, they only call if you're giving them a prize. But whereas we didn't have to do that in the past, people loved phoning and talking.
Oh my goodness, yes.
But now they don't call now.
Your 3/4 of your program was people calling in.
Yeah.
And you
My
chatting
father
with
was
them.
a regular when I was on air. He must call and he must say something.
See, on your own program?
You
Oh,
kept
man.
having to announce the telephone number to call. And the people wanted to be not just for the prizes, and the young ones would like there'd be 4-year-olds wanting to I don't know,
man.
recite something or talk to you, and I think that just develops the confidence in everybody.
No, absolutely. You were wanting to say something, so
Yes. So, you know, I remember something that really got to me was once at the Alansaar souk, I was at the information desk and I was doing announcements, and then this family comes to me and they say, you know, my child heard your voice at the expo center, and he said, Mom, I know that voice and let's follow it.
Oh,
And they
man.
followed it to information, and he wanted to know if he could recite a nasheed. And I said, no, this is not my radio program now. I'm just here giving announcements. And the other thing I wanted to say is when we speak about, you know, getting through to the community, and if I look at children and the problems parents face, not everybody is willing to speak about the problems that their kids face in their development,
Yes.
and not everyone's willing to accept.
Mm.
And then radio becomes such a crucial
Common.
tool. Yes,
Common
because
ground.
Now, yes, moms can now listen in without, you know, coming out. You know, they can listen and get the information. And then realize that they're not alone, or
Yes.
whatever information they want. So radio is an excellent tool for that as well. And not just education, anything, problems in your marriage or
that's a big one.
abuse or any kind
I
of
can
thing.
relate to it. You know, and people, they listen back home and say, I can relate to that problem.
Exactly.
Yes. And I'm not
So-
alone.
Yes. So this is where the radio comes in, educating, uplifting, informing.
It's so
you know?
important. People say now in this day, and if you were there right from the beginning, Antozia, and now we're being told that radio is now dying. We have to compete with podcasts, you know, because now people are listening to podcasts, or people are choosing to listen to or watch more TikTok, or the discussions have to be we're live on Facebook now at the same time. So now it's not just a matter of radio. We have to be almost aware that it's visual content as much as it's audio content, and that's a challenge for a lot of us, especially somebody like myself who is used to just talking to the listener. But now I have to be so aware that we are live and engaging with viewers as well now. But in this day and age, what are some of the aspects, do you think, how important radio culture actually is, and how should it evolve with the time? You would say you're somebody that deals with so many people, you're always emceeing events, you're always live with people. How important is that? People engagement. You look at COVID, where people weren't meeting, lockdown. We've been through so many things, but how important is something like, is it really dying? Do you think it ever
Not
went?
at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think not for a while, Salma. I think a radio is something that we all still need. I was just saying to my spouse the other day in the house, I said, oh, I don't want to switch on my phone and switch on the radio on my phone. I want to get a radio so that I can have Alansaar on all the time. And when I'm, in the car, the first thing that you do is, okay, you put on your Yasin, but you want to, after that, you'll want to listen to what's going on. And the only radio station is Alansaar. So I think they are a great involvement in our community. I think it's far from dying, Salma. Where it started and where it has evolved now, I think for a long, long time it's going to be here.
Do you listen at all to Radio Alansaar? If I can ask you honestly, like
maybe not in the
certain
evening,
times,
but if I'm cooking, I want to have something on. I put the radio on, and in the car, instantaneously, yes, I put the radio on. Yes.
What for you would be some of the most important shows or topics that should be on radio right now?
I love Fahim's program.
The afternoon jam.
The afternoon jam. I love the breakfast show in the morning because I'm sometimes going to work to a school early in the morning on a Wednesday, and so I switch it on. So I enjoy those programs. They're so informative. They educate you and they tell you what's going on, because sometimes you sitting at home in your little cocoon and you're not aware of what's in this warm state kind of thing, and you're not aware of what's going on around you. Okay, perhaps with me, I'm dealing with mums all the time, parents all the time, children all the time. They bring in news, loads of news. Children, they're a way of just bringing all kinds of news to you. But the radio is a way of informing you and educating you. And I know now there is this program. There's going to be that Muslimah seminar. There's going to be Salma's program. Then she's going to be, Muhammad Varia is going to be talking on that particular issue. And I would like to listen in, be it bullying, whatever it is, even not, I'm past a mother now, I'm not a grandmother, but just as a teacher, I want to know what's going. Just recently, I learned about, with bullying, something called roasting. I didn't know what was this all about.
So now you get roasted.
Yeah. And I didn't know. I'm thinking, oh my word, 61 years, and I didn't know all about this. And my children are informing me about it, my students. So the radio is a way of really arming yourself.
That's
the way
amazing.
Forward.
So Shamima, it's I also agree. It's not something that's dying. Anybody you ask when they get into the car, there'll be Radio Alansaar.
Yeah.
It won't be somebody listening as much as they did back then. You must remember, in that 1 month, you listened from. It only came on at a certain time. It wasn't even 24 hours. Am I right?
No, it would go on till about 9-10.
Yes.
And then there'll be pre-recorded till a certain time of the morning.
And then it would come on only at Fajr. So there are people at Fajr time waiting to now listen.
Yeah.
So it was jam-packed for that period. Now, obviously, you cannot listen to all the programs, but at home, when you in the kitchen, or when I'm at home, the radio is on.
You see,
and you're not listening to everything, but you're listening. I'm listening to, like on the Friday, the lecture.
Yes,
I'm listening to the lecture on the Friday. The gardening program. During the day, the one on women,
urban women.
Yes,
I forgot to mention
some beautiful things that are shared on this program. And the other thing is telling you about this charitable
organization
activity that's happening.
Okay,
you're never going to know. You may want to sponsor, or you want to be part of it. You want to assist. Only through radio am I going to know. How else am I going to know? What's going on.
Then, Sister Bilkish?
Yes. So, speaking about whether radio is still a thing now, let's think about the elderly in our community. Radio is their only, for most, radio is their only companion. I mean, in my home, we don't listen to the radio. We don't even have a radio in the house. But we are forced to listen to Radio Alansaar because my mother-in-law has it on 24/7, right through the night. You cannot even.
She has a radio?
She has a radio, yes.
I'm actually looking to buy one.
And she wouldn't even, when she goes to stay with her other kids, the radio must go with.
Oh, man.
Just to listen to Radio Alansaar. So Radio Alansaar is part of her life. And this is just one woman, elderly woman in the community. I'm sure there are hundreds out there where Radio Alansaar is their companion day in and day out. So how important is that for our elderly? I mean, if we think about the elderly in our community, so many are being neglected. And, if there wasn't Radio Alansaar.
It is a companion. That's the right word. It is a companion.
It's definitely a companion. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back on the other side of this, we get some final words from our guests, our wonderful words of inspiration. We'll talk finally about some challenging times, some difficult moments, and some inspiration, some hope for the future generations, what we hope to achieve, what we want from the community, how we can bring the community together again. Have we separated or gone too far, drifted off from each other? How do we build those ties and mend those relations? Sunday Lounge with you till 12.
A reminder that in the atrium overport, you will find Chippewa Spur, our halal steak sizzle, our beef ribs are delicious, and our burgers are legendary. The combos are perfect for big appetites. We have plant-based options too, and mouth-watering desserts. Pop in anytime for all your favorite Spur food. We are open from 8 in the morning to 9 p.m. Chippewa Spur at the atrium. People with a taste for life.
J. Junaid Jamshed brings you the Freedom Sale. Enjoy up to 50% off on all items from 14th August at 222 Felix Lamini Road, Overport. Visit our stores or shop online at za.junaidjamshed.com.
This August, Phenomenal Women and Alansaar Outreach invites you to our annual Women's Day event.
Join Bibi Aisha Laher, Abba Aisha Fakhruddin, Zora Silliman, and others for a day of inspiration and entertainment. It has to be you.
Saturday, the 24th of August, 2024, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 189 West Road. Lunch and treats provided.
Tickets 250 Rand available at the Alansaar shop or call outreach on 031 208 1601.
Did you hear? Your favorite 24-hour dentist has moved? Crown Dental Studio, offering everything your smile needs, from general to cosmetic dentistry. Female practitioner now available upon request. Call us on 081 207 8621 to schedule your next appointment. Or visit our new studio at 26 McCuton Avenue, Durban North. Crown Dental Studio, your 24-hour dentist.
The Breakfast Rush with Nishal Sarawan, making winners every day. It could be you tomorrow. Tune in daily and flip it. If you could win up to 5 prizes daily.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما ابدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما ابدا على حبيبك محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين. محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم. صل وسلم أوذيت في الله لم تهزم ولم تهيني. أوذيت في الله لم تهزم ولم تهيني حتى غادت أمة الإسلام في النجوم. صل وسلم حبيب الله رسول الله إمام المرسلين. حبيب الله رسول الله سريت من حرم ليلا إلى حرم كما سرى البدر في تاج من الظلم سريت من حرم ليلا إلى حرم كما سرى البدر في تاج من الظلم وبت ترقى إلى أن نلت منزلة وبت ترقى إلى أن نلت منزلة من طرف سيل لم تدرك
Salma Kazi on Radio Alansaar.
Muhammad Al Hassan there with the Burda. Messages coming in from our listener, Sister Lutfia as well, from Trenance Park in Verulam. My mom, Salma Sayed, and I have Alansaar on 24/7. It's our constant companion, and we have a routine. We wake up to Maulana Salim Kareem, have breakfast with Nishal, do housework with Razia, we have lunch with Bibi Aisha, and we have fun listening to Zahir Basa, and then we have a rest with Fahim and supper with Siraj Basa. I just can't get any better. What a wonderful way to spend your day. She just painted the whole picture of that is how a typical day on Radio Alansaar, a weekday with Radio Alansaar. Some days, yes, you'll get Shagufta Khan coming in between there as well. You'll get Maulana Saleh Jusab Arbi as well, who will come in between for shorter segments as well during the course of the week. And then on a Friday, for instance, Aisha Jamal will be on in the morning. Then there's No Urban Woman, and then there's Jummah broadcast. My daughter from the morning will tell me, oh, there's it, Alansaar again. It's the first thing I do in the morning is I'm putting on the app. I want to hear what's going on. And I wish I am in the current, I'm looking for a nice radio at home so I don't have to use my phone every time, because I think it's just something the kids also are listening to Naats and they're listening to Nasheeds. And I think it's one, Quran, of course, I think it's one thing letting them just download and letting it play off YouTube. When they're actually hearing the discussions, they are listening.
Yes.
They may not be interacting or commenting on it, but they're very much aware. I know how my son knows more about Nasheeds now, and he's 4. But simply when I'm researching Nasheeds, he's paying attention to what I'm playing. And I think that's why it's so important. But with considering we have 15 minutes left of the program, 10 to 15 minutes, what are some of I want to touch on some of the maybe harder times, some of the challenging aspects, and we want to learn from it. So for the future generations, I know the entire Alansaar crew will be listening to the show afterwards. They're going to want to go back, and our management as well. They appreciate the input so much, especially when it comes from members like yourself who have been there before. So some of the obstacles, some of the challenges, maybe the more difficult times, the interaction of the community, be it complaints or maybe some of the hot issues or whatever we faced. And maybe let's see how we can suggest or move forward some hope or vision for Radio Alansaar for the coming 12 years, inshallah. So I'll start with you.
I think we had our challenges, and I think at times we used to be concerned that, are we going to be stepping on anybody's toes?
Yeah.
Because we would get some kind of flack from the station master.
I love that word, flack.
Yeah, and they would, and we would be worried. And I think Shamima will tell us a little bit more about that because we're discussing it just now. But I think we were aware of the fact that we mustn't do something that was wrong. I don't know if it's now you are being given more carte blanche than what we were given at that time. But we used to be concerned, what would one Maulana listen to us and say, if we didn't do the right thing. So I think we had our challenges. Very right.
Anything you discussed on air, you need to have researched and made sure that it was absolutely correct information, like present. I mean, you cannot come on air, Salma, and just ad hoc talk about a nasheed and you don't know the artist's name, or you mix up your names. Somebody would call in and say to you, hey, there's this kind of error. We had to be very, very particular. And I think we were more watched because it was the shorter period.
Yes.
You know, you probably, somebody's guiding you as well, and guiding your other presenters as well, in terms of content, in terms of how it's supposed to be. But we had, remember, it was only volunteers, right? It was only volunteers.
I think that's the key word.
Lots of youngsters were also on radios. I think the youngsters, even volunteering behind the scene, there was somebody whose job was to answer the telephone.
Yes, yes,
right.
yes.
They would answer, and those used to be your youngsters answering.
So I used to do it on weekends.
There we go. So there used to be lots of like laughing and giggling in the background, and then it seemed like lots of fun and games. And I remember one of the tech guys saying to me, "Each time you come, you look so serious, we didn't know whether we can talk to you." So I said, well, my job is to come do my program and go. Remember, I was like much older than these younger presenters who all like hung out together and, made friends with each other. But yes, there were the challenges, but I think it was all the benefit and the positivity that came out of it, in terms of who you're speaking to, and when your listeners are interacting with you. It just made it so beautiful. Like now, I mean, your somebody, a listener sent in that long message to say they're having breakfast with so and so. It's interaction, it's this. I suppose not the same as our calls, but I mean, you're doing the same thing. It's different times.
There's been many times on the program where I've said, okay, lines are open. And I think in a 2-hour program, maybe 3 would call in. The rest would all be WhatsApp messages. And it's just, I felt that dynamic has changed. I miss that.
Can I tell you what?
Yeah.
It would be people would call afterwards to say, you know what, it's not fair. I tried and I tried and I tried, but I couldn't get through.
Yes.
You said, okay, calls have now stopped. And people were getting offended because they wanted to call
on the phone. There used to be those 4 lights that used to flash at all times, and you'll constantly see them flashing, and eventually you couldn't take any more calls.
That takes me back. And when I was running that the quiz competition, my program was completely where I was relying on people calling in. So you would be looking at that monitor and saying, okay, we've got a caller in now. Oh, can you hold on? Okay, we're getting answers here. And then some people couldn't get through, and then be so frustrated.
Yes.
Sister Bilkish, some of your thoughts with the challenges at that time?
I was going to touch on what Sister Shamima has just said about the challenge of not getting through, and that was my biggest challenge where listeners, and imagine the little one saying, I couldn't get through, I tried and I just couldn't get through, but luckily now we have WhatsApp, and they can send their messages through. So for me, that was a big challenge. Then also hosting the educational program, I had to do my research. And if a question came through, I had to be careful not to say something, because then I'd have someone in the profession, someone who is a professional, calling me to say, no, that's not the case,
Oh,
so,
my word. That's I just remember that as well. You're so right.
So I had to be very careful about the advice I gave to moms. I had to kind of bite my tongue and say, let me just double check on that, or let me rather get a professional on my next show who can, we can then further go into that topic. So I had to remember my space, I had to remember where I am and what I'm doing. Yeah,
I think that's such an important point, and especially for those of us in it now. And that's the message I want to send people with. And is, of course, when you look at, you mentioned the word, Antifosi, you mentioned professionalism. And what were you going to touch on with that as well, Sister Shamima, with regards to that, what Sister Bilkish just mentioned now?
I just remembered as well that, anything you spoke about, you're giving advice, you're speaking to a person, or you're talking about a book, whatever it is, you have to have known your facts. There would be somebody calling to say to you, no, you can't give that. And then I remember in the medical programs, if something wasn't so correct, somebody, a doctor or somebody would call in and say, unfortunately, you gave the wrong advice. And
call in live on radio.
Yeah. And you had to be on your toes in terms of making sure that everything's correct. Like now with the WhatsApp, maybe if you want to ignore a message, you could ignore it. Do you know what I'm saying? There, the person's online. There's a monitor up there saying to you, Salma Kazi is calling. And you take the call and you don't know what Salma's going to talk about. And then we had the few who would play pranks.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that? They would call in, I'm sure it was on your quiz program as well, and then just be silly, you know.
Oh, my word.
And then you would sign to your technician and say, cut the call.
Cut.
Yeah.
Sign to your technician. My goodness. Imagine having to do that. We spoke about that. And yeah, you've got the text here. We'll immediately drop the line the moment it comes through. But what would be some of your hope for a radio station like this in the coming years, and also your message maybe to this younger generation, the Gen Zs of today's time, to actually get involved in something like Radio Alansaar again? How important is that?
I think just to close up, I'd like to bring in my profession, being a speech and drama teacher for so many years. I think as individuals, it's so important for people generally to get the opportunity to be able to voice their opinion. Be it on radio, be it in any way, Salma. It doesn't have to be always on radio.
Yeah.
But believing in yourself, being strong, having an integrity to honor yourself as human beings. And I think the radio station gives you that himmat, that himmat you say, or gives you that strength to respect yourself. Don't allow yourself to be downtrodden in any way, be it as a woman, be it as a human being, be it as a mother, and people can relate to that. I think that's the passion that we need to keep on going on with.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Shamima.
I just messaged you, but I think you didn't see it. To ask, are there any kids or teen programs on radio?
There was, and again, like we spoke about the dynamic with the phone calls, is we had Nadia Ali's daughter who joined Alansaar now, believe it or not, 18-year-old Ria, who one of the twins, yes, and she recently started, and she launched a show called Wonder Bubble for kids. But again, you look at 2024 kids now who are now going to school. Then they've got extracurriculars after school. They've got madrasa. They're not sitting and listening to the radio. Their schedules are a lot different to the kids in the past. So now she's upgraded to a Gen Z sort of show, more her own age group. So we're having to make shift, because what would have worked, and I was very sure again that a kids show was needed. Everyone was like, we need a kids show.
Yes.
But then we realized, but where are the kids in the afternoons? They're not sitting and listen and the radio. They
at tuition.
They have hectic lives now.
It's and parents want to fit in the school, the extracurricular, the madrasa, and sport. Their children sometimes getting home after Maghrib.
Yes, absolutely.
And then obviously they're too tired to do homework or any such thing. But what I'm saying is, find a way to get the youth involved. Like you've got this young girl, she knows more than you and I exactly what their generation
She's our
is
youngest
about.
presenter right now.
I mean, when I talk to my granddaughter and she talks about slang and there's some slang words that you talk about, they have to give me the meaning, because it's just weird.
Yeah,
it's not even English as far as I'm concerned. And imagine somebody, some youngster like Ria doing this program. It's going to get children to want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
The art of sitting and focusing on something has been lost, because they've got immediate gratification. They want to watch a TikTok. It's for 40 seconds. They're watching something on Instagram. I don't like it. I scroll through. I mean, TV programs that we used to watch. If you watched a series, you watched it on a Monday at 7 in the evening. You had to wait next Monday to watch the next program. Now you can binge watch an entire series.
And the children know that too,
and the children know it. I mean, they know about Netflix, they know about Prime, they know about everything. I need to do something with my phone. Something's not correct. I needed to buy a new charger. So my husband says to me, okay, which one do we need to get? And he said, no, we got to wait for Yusuf, because Yusuf will tell me which one to order. Like, we didn't even bother.
Yusuf is the grandson.
Yes. I mean, he would know. But some way to get the youth involved in this kind of thing, where they are able to sit with each other, have these conversations, and then there's this, they have to give up an hour. It's not that 5-minute gratification that I need. It's having to sit or come and listen to a program, do a program, something that you guys can look into in your
like
next
a youth
meeting.
club or something.
Yes.
Okay. You got some work to do. You have to give some thought to that. Your final words from you, Sister Bilkish, your thoughts being on air today, and perhaps a message to the listeners.
I think, before I say that, but getting back to the youngsters, it's a very difficult generation to get through to. So, perhaps if this radio thing hasn't taken off yet, maybe start with live presentations, workshops, little boot camps that Radio Alansaar hosts, just to get their attention and get the presenter known as well. And, perhaps that would be a stepping stone. Because that's what youngsters love. They love the challenge. They love to be out there. They love the stimulation. Coming back to how Radio Alansaar has boosted me, how this would be a great start for somebody, as a career even. When I think about myself, I'm a preschool teacher, and I didn't have the courage to speak to hundreds of people. I spoke to the moms that I saw, I interacted with every day, and that was it. And then radio gave me that platform. It was my stepping stone where I could speak to people, many people, but not see them. So it cut off that shyness or that anxiety of speaking to people face to face, but it gave me the courage to go on. And then
confidence.
we had the confidence, the self-confidence. And then we had the live programs, the souk, where I would now be on stage and you're seeing hundreds of people and, oh my God, how do I speak to these people? But the courage has been built here in studio.
Yes.
And now when I look at me as a career woman, I've now taken that globally, internationally, and speaking to thousands of professionals, in my profession, and I'm not scared.
Oh, Alhamdulillah. So
and
wonderful.
I think radio is so important because, especially Radio Alansaar, use it. You've got this wonderful platform. Use it to bridge the gaps in community. See what's missing out. What does our community need? And use this platform to now bridge those gaps, to empower, enlighten, and inform the community.
I'm going to plan a workshop with just the three of you. That's so incredible. What beautiful words. But I know there's something else playing on your mind now. So before I let you go, I want you to say one more message just to the listeners who know you.
I was going to say something very lighthearted.
Okay.
Bilkis was mentioning something that you went on stage and now in the radio station. But now that was a different
It's very
feeling.
different. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the Drama Institute, Alhamdulillah. But as a radio announcer, we put on a character.
Okay.
And we used to put on a wig, and I was a character. So at the souk, I used to go on as an old lady. Well, I was very young then, but I used to go on as an old mother-in-law. And I changed my voice, changed my accent, everything. And that was a different drama trick altogether. It was so fun.
I wish we had a video of that or something. We saw the picture. It's on the wall. But that would be nice to do. Maybe one day we can revive
Absolutely.
that. One day.
All of you, my drama students.
Inshallah.
Fahim and all of them.
Zahir would love that. Zahir he would do that. That's right up his alley. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you it's so wonderful having all of you here. There's so much to talk about. And there was a show not too long ago where they tried to do the same with the male presenters, AB Dawji, Faisal, MV. They all were in studio together as well. So I think maybe before the end of the month, they will plan one with both. That would be wonderful to do. And I'm sure that will be very nostalgic for the presenters as well. But thank you so much for being a part of it. Did you, your final message to the listeners as well, to the radio station?
The first, thank you to you, Salma, for having me on. I was so reluctant, again, you're just busy. And my husband said to me, no, you just make the time and, you go.
Oh, bless him.
And I thought I was going to forget. And yesterday he said to me, weren't you supposed to be on radio today? I said, no, man, it's tomorrow. It's just taking me back to my time at radio. But like Bilkish mentioned that, it gave her the confidence. It gave me the confidence to public speak. this is a message for teachers, especially. When I was in school, my teacher would say to me, well, your speech was not good enough. Without without an explanation. You not like, okay, you've got to improve and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And I really thought that I cannot speak. I'm not a speaker. So I never took part in anything major, back in school. And after I got in radio and, at work as well, I'm able to speak to a group of people. And I realized that anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
Anybody, if you just put your mind to it and you make that effort. And there's strategies on how to public speak and, how you imagine the audience and, that kind of thing. But my message to the young people is that you can excel at anything you want to. And like I tell kids at school, that we all have the same brain. It's just that child who's getting A's just has learned how to use it a little better than you.
So use it.
Absolutely.
Use your skill, whatever skill you have, and bring it in. And inshallah, we will have more. That seems to be a common theme coming through, getting more youth involvement with the radio station to ensure that the next 12 years is going to be as successful, inshallah. But Jazakallah khair again for joining me and being a part of the program. To Fawzia Amaji, Shamima Kathri, and Bilkish Fauda for being a part of the program today. Thank you to Mondli, who's going to get ready to play out with our song here. A Phoenix Once Was Palestine, featuring Yaman Helmi, that is just released by Zain Bika. The official video is now on his YouTube channel, Zain Bika Official. You can share the songs with your friends and families. Written and produced by Zain Bika. Arabic vocals by Yaman Helmi. He's got backing vocals as well by Tebogo Moloto. It was done locally in South Africa. Beautiful cinematography by his son Rashid Bika and moody visuals. It's a wonderful one in support of Palestine solidarity campaigns, Mural for Gaza, and Shoot for Purpose. And it has Yaman Helmi was also sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. It's a wonderful release. A Phoenix Once Was Palestine. I'll speak with you next week Sunday. You don't want to miss it. It's a big grand finale show with a female and a historical figure at Radio Alansaar. We're really going to switch on the emotions for that last one next week Sunday at 10 o'clock. I'll speak to you then. Assalamu alaikum.
When the crimson sky